Hey, welcome investors to the 40 Finance channel. My name's Jeff Beers. Today, I've got to pose a question about NIO stock. This thing is everywhere on YouTube with every single person saying, buy NIO stock, it's the next greatest thing. Definitely not the type of stock that I'm into. So I'm gonna present a couple counter arguments to NIO stock, and I'm just gonna ask you guys as investors to sell me on this NIO stock at its current price point of $50. Listen to my side of the case and then tell me why NIO stock is a buy at $50. Reminder as always that my stock picks and projections, they're just my opinion for your entertainment. Please make sure you do your own research and due diligence when buying stocks. And of course, if you enjoy stock market analysis and personal finance videos, then please subscribe to the 40 Finance channel. Thank you to everyone for your support of the channel so far. All right, to kick things off, I just want to let you know, first of all, there's nothing wrong with the speculation stock. I have a few of them myself, and DraftKings and also Rocket Mortgage. Both of those were IPOs this year. Both of those do not have earnings or a positive EPS or PE this year. So I'm open to the concept of sort of IPO type stocks. And like most long-term investors, really the key for me is trying to identify a price point to get into stocks where I see a bright future, certainly at least for the next year, and ideally for the next 3 to 5 years. And the goal is to buy in at a price that maximizes those gains. That is exactly where I'm having the most trouble with NIO right now, is just the swarm of activity around it, the price of $50, and this sort of momentum play that you see some numbers flying around from people where they're talking about $100, $150, $200. To me, it just doesn't make sense. And furthermore, it certainly doesn't make sense at the $50 mark. Now, if you got in at $3, $5, $10, $15, that seems like a pretty fair play. And as long as you can afford to lose all your money on any stock you buy, then it's probably a decent bet compared to some other things in the world. But now NIO's getting to the point where I'm worried that for some investors, it's costing them on opportunity for other ideas. So let's go through some of my points. Okay, so first things first, checking in on NIO stock at all-time highs. This right off the bat is a big warning sign or no for me. All-time highs is never the kind of thing that I like to buy into. You see the price is at $50, at least when I took this snapshot. And over here at the chart, it's a pretty simple story as far as like, hey, great for those who are in maybe here. This, by the way, is a chart from May to now. And I can see the excitement, but I have to wonder what's going on here, because certainly NIO did not sell 6 million vehicles to go up from a $21 valuation to more than double that. And of course, EPS and PE ratio, anytime you have a stock like this, that's not really the best way to look at them, but it certainly doesn't make you feel any better when you're running numbers like, minus $44 in earnings per share. Even if that is sort of a throwaway statistic in this case, there's not a lot of support there for a stock that's doing things like this. Bottom line for me, all-time highs, no, not interested. Doesn't mean that I won't be interested, but it would not be until there was some type of correction. All right, point number 2 for me, and sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who is still worried about Chinese stocks. The bottom line here is, and you can do your own research, I just did a video on this, that some, not all, some Chinese stocks have been accused of fudging their numbers. And with a stock like NIO, where the presumptive price is going up so high, there's going to be a lot of pressure on them in the next year or 2 or 3 to live up to their valuation. So in a negative environment, that might lead some to fudge the numbers so that they can live up to this valuation that the market has bestowed on them. Throw in the fact that on the right-hand side there, you can see that back in spring, NIO had to get $1 billion from the Chinese government. This was during the pandemic, and they desperately needed funds to just remain in operation. And obviously, a lot of stuff has happened since then, but it is important to note that the Chinese state does have a 24% stake in the Chinese unit for NIO. Now, they were pretty crafty in that they broke this company up into two units, the China unit and the NIO Incorporated unit. That way, when the government injected the $1 billion, they could still come over here in other countries on the NIO Incorporated unit and say that the government doesn't own anything with the NIO Incorporated unit. But the China unit has that 24% that it sold to the government in order to get this lifeline. Now, we bail out companies in America all the time, but this is something to monitor as NIO gets more and more pressure on it to perform. All right, next up is some of these nutty valuations that are being thrown around on NIO. And I actually took this from a website that I sort of like. It's entertaining from a stock picks perspective, and that's Investor Place. And Luke Langa has been in the game for a long time. And I was reading his most recent article here from November 19th, where he's talking about NIO is on track to hit $150. And this is really the kind of article that prompted me to make this quick video and just ask you guys, like, where do you see NIO going? Because I'm absolutely stumped here. And he rambles on for a little bit, but at the end of the day, he makes, some broad-based assumptions that you can read it on your own. But here's the conclusion. Based on the assumptions, my modeling suggests NIO will do 1.5 million deliveries, over $60 billion in revenue, and about $7.50 in earnings per share by 2030, okay? 10 years from now. Based on a 20x forward price to earnings multiple, that implies a long-term price target of $150. Now, I'm just going to ignore some of the ways that he got to that number, and we'll just say that that is, spot-on analysis. But he's talking about $150, guys, in 10 years. So 2030, wake up and cash your check for your NIO stock going from 50 to 150. I'm just not sure that that's a strong value proposition from an investor scenario. Then you look over on the TipRanks side of things with 4 or 5 star analysts, and we try to get a feel, what do they think over the next 12 months or the next year? And you can see these are all pretty freshly dated ratings, minus this 3 months ago. But that person wasn't a big fan anyway. And the high side of what you have over the next year is 21%. Followed by 10%, and then a couple that are coming in under. So the next, 12 to 16 months isn't projected by analysts to be a huge year. And on the previous slide, you had an analyst telling you the stock was 150 by the year 2030. So at this point of $50, I'm not sure what's left in the NIO run. Getting back to my point on suggesting perhaps you should wait for a dip. So this chart is Tesla, and this is about the past year and a half for Tesla. I'm sorry I didn't put the date range on there, but it spanned back into 2019. I know that for sure. And you can see we know what happened with Tesla, right? But even just following the dip cycles, you can see that there's been plenty of opportunities to get into Tesla at a lower price than it was originally trading, right? And this is even beyond pandemic dips. There's plenty of opportunities to get in here and shave, 15 to 25% off of the price that your peers paid, months ago, basically. All right, and the last thing I'm gonna throw out for NIO investors, particularly at the $50 level, is what is your opportunity cost, right? You only have so many dollars in the bank. You have to put them to work. If you choose to put them in NIO, what other opportunities are you losing? One potential lost opportunity that came into my mind was AMD. So AMD, not exactly dollar for dollar on the stock price at 85, but for $35 more, you get a company that has $8 billion in sales over the last 12 months. They have roughly twice the market cap size. Oh, look, they're profitable at 74 cents a share. And over the past 5 years, they've went from $2 to $85. So that's a 40x bagger, if you will, in 5 years. Now, obviously, very few people had the conviction at the $2 range. But if we go back to our friend and his $150 price target, you're talking about NIO being a 3x stock at $50 over the next 10 years. Where do you think AMD is going to be in another 5 years? Where's AMD going to be in 2 years? Don't forget, they're already producing profits and they already have $8 billion in sales. I put this little headline here for fun because if you're thinking about EV cars, there's more than one way to play it. This is just saying AMD could be the next chips inside Tesla's navigation panel. And I think you can assume that if that goes well, there would be more electric vehicle people looking at AMD chips. On the flip side, you have NVIDIA, who's right there in the competition for chips and EV cars. So my point is, are you waiting for NIO to sell 20,000 cars, 50,000 cars? Are you going to let AMD sell millions of chips in the same time? All right, so just to restate my point, nothing wrong with speculation plays, and I don't blame anybody who bought into NIO prior to the $20 mark. It makes a lot of sense, and by the way, congratulations on a phenomenal pick that I certainly wouldn't have had the guts to do, particularly with the Chinese stock in the current political environment. But my question today relies on the current share price of $50. Why would NIO be a buy today, here at the end of November, for $50? Make your valuation projection to me. Let me know why I wouldn't be better off buying AMD or something similar than I would be for buying NIO at $50. Now, if NIO stock dips and it goes back under 25 or 20, then I'll certainly have to think about it at that range. But if we go by what analysts are projecting, this stock is anywhere between $60 and $150 as of today over the next, 2 to 10 years. So I think for me, it's not necessarily that I think NIO's a bad company or they're making bad products. I just think that the amount of conviction being spilled over into NIO is unnecessary and, quite frankly, has a strong opportunity cost to it. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Can you sell me on NIO at $50? Let me know in the comments. Thanks as always for your likes and your support. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy content like this. We will see you on the next video.